it out, I tap it out, I tap it out, I tap it out, I tap it out. West side tap it out, east side tap it out, north side tap it out, south side tap it out. I tap it out, 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 I tap it out. West side tap it out, east side tap it out, north side tap it out, south side tap it out. All right.
Nice.
All right. So now we got that dirty workout. Now we're at 1.6 thousand for what I'm seeing. So as we start this live, we still need y'all to hit them hearts, right? And we still need y'all to share out the live. So if you can do that, we really appreciate it. Is that right, Des?
We love it. That's right. That's right. This is about love. This is about energy, positive energy, sharing the love, showing the love. And
Right.
that's pretty much what our message is and what our show is about.
Exactly. And those for you who just joined on the show, this is our third live. Renaissance Man magazine was founded 20 years ago. So now this is our digital version of who we are as the Renaissance Men for the Renaissance Man magazine movement. And that's why we're here today, right?
That's right. That's right. We
So
just
Des,
continuing what we already established, and it's going to be beautiful. This is a new iteration.
So Des, before we get into the topic today, we can't avoid what happened yesterday, right? We can't avoid the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So can we just have a light conversation about the Super Bowl before we go into that? All right.
Let's get in it.
Great. My thought is this, right?
Yeah.
Well, the game. Thank you for joining my team. Thank you so much, whoever gave me the join. I appreciate it. My thought is this, man. Obviously, the game. I'm not a big football fan. I'll be honest with you. If it's the Giants, because I'm from New York, then I watch the Jets or something like that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. And if it's Minnesota, I will watch too because I'm from Minnesota. So if it's the Vikings, I gotta watch and see what happens, right? But other than that, I'm a basketball guy, so I don't really watch. Thank you for the pink heart. Oh, by the way, you guys, it's pink hearts, okay? I have a goal of 50 pink hearts. So this Des, he should have. It's Valentine's Day. Let's see hearts, okay? If you're gonna give any gifts, you don't have to. But let's see hearts. Let's see pink hearts, all right?
Sure. It's about the love. It's about the love.
So to me, the big moment about the game was really about the halftime, and that's what I was waiting for. And before I tell you how I feel about the halftime, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's interesting that when they first announced the halftime show and who would be performing, Kendrick Lamar as it was, I was a little skeptical even then because I wasn't sure if that was the best choice, given that we just had a fantastic halftime show last year with Dr. Dre and his whole crew and Snoop Dogg and so on, Eminem and 50 Cent and Mary J. Blige killed it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, and Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was part of that show. So I thought it was a fantastic job. I didn't think they needed to do it again, but I was looking forward to it once they said, Kendrick Lamar. I said, okay, let's see what he's going to bring, because Kendrick Lamar performance in last year halftime show was one of my favorite parts. I think he killed it, and the choreography and everything that they put around him was fantastic. So I was looking for a little of that and a little more of that, and we didn't get that. That. I was greatly disappointed. And I don't want to, I'm not the type of person who want to throw rocks at anybody, throw rocks at a moving train. But I think they could have thought it out better. They could have did a better job. With some background in the music. Catalog makes the difference. Catalog makes all the difference in the world. If you got an artist who comes up there with a plethora of hit records that everybody knows and everyone can sing along to, then obviously they're going to give a great show. Even if their show is struggling, it's going to be a great show because everybody knows the song. But when you're trying to introduce an artist to a larger audience, that is tough to do in this level of platform. I almost say that's the kiss of death. That should have not been done. But what they could have done, and I don't want to just drag it on and go long, but what they could have done, because this is my expertise. But what they could have done is had other artists perform with them, other artists who would have brought different type of flavors to it. And most of the halftime shows they did that. This time they did not, which I found interesting. They had one other artist, but I don't know how much flavor that artist added to this performance. But it left much to be desired. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Well, I think that's a fair response. I kind of felt similar. I was curious to see how you felt, but I did feel, where I came from on my afterthoughts of the halftime was the big political statement. Some people feel like, it was appropriate because if you really know the artist and you're able to understand his lyrics because the way he raps so fast and you kind of know the context of the show, the Uncle Sam of, Samuel Jackson is a reason he had that,
Yeah.
And there was a lot of undertones of politicalness happening.
Yeah.
And I just personally felt at this moment like, can I just be entertained? Because I'm just personally tired of politics. But I understand, someone says, well, that's his moment, a global stage to really set the tone of how he feels about everything that's going on. And I agree with how he feels. But we just don't have a neutral zone for anybody anymore just to be entertained. Politics is just in everything now. And that's what I kind of felt from that. I wonder how people felt in the chat, if they felt similar. But that's what I gathered from that. What is your thought?
Well, from the standpoint that you're speaking of, I'm kind of half and half because I'm with you and I agree with that. I checked out of politics and it's an overkill of politics and there's too much discourse in politics. But I'm not against an artist using their artistry to express themselves and speaks to the political landscape. And some of the best artists in history have done that and done that well. So I'm not against that. Actually, I'm for that because that's an expression, and it also can convey messages through music sometimes much better than you can speak it. But to your point, there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm not sure this was the time nor the place. And to speak to that, I'm not sure this was the artist. Again, I'm not throwing rocks at Kendrick, but I'm just saying there's certain artists who has a history of speaking on this type of political message board landscape. They're speaking for the people. To a certain degree, they're the voice of the people. And if you have that type of artist, that's one thing. I'm not sure if Kendrick Lamar was that artist.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a poll in the chat. It's did you like the Super Bowl halftime? Look for the little treasure box at the top of our heads, and just tap it, and there'll be a question in there: yes or no. Did you like the halftime? Because I'm curious to know what some people think in the chat. You have 2 minutes to answer that. Thank you. Yeah, I think that I think it would have been much better if he had other artists with him. He only had one artist with him, the
Right.
artist, and that was cool. But it just felt like, again, it just felt too analytical and too. If you don't know the artist, you wouldn't really know what he was talking about. I knew what he was
My
talking
point.
about.
Exactly.
But most people say here they like 100% say they like the halftime. Okay, kind of shocking.
Well, that's a good thing because I felt that they took a big chance with that. But then at the same time, right now, this is Kendrick Lamar moment. He's riding a high. He just, was recognized for several Grammys, and this is his moment. Every artist, if you be so lucky, will get your moment, and this is his moment. So to have a moment with a top charting record, with winning Grammys, now being the Super Bowl halftime show, that's a win-win for him. So if people felt that they enjoyed it, they connected to it, that's a wonderful thing. But when you look at one of the most televised events of the year, and you look at the wide range of audience, now, for the NFL is really doing this push for a global reach. They're even playing games in other countries. Again, I don't know if this was the artist, and I don't know if this was the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did win several Grammys. Let me ask you one other question before we leave Super Bowl and go to the main topic. Um, there was talks before, like for example, like Charlemagne. Hi, welcome to the chat, Rashada Jones. Um, if you guys thought that that song was appropriately for him to do, being that fact it was a diss song, he's dissing a bunch of artists in that song, so people were just thinking, okay, it's not really tasteful to do that song that night. But then my thought was he won 7 awards for for the same song at the Grammys. So does it really matter? Do you think there was something ethicality around that you felt was inappropriate to do that song?
Well, not really, because he did a medley. So he did a medley of many different songs. Most of his song, his hit records and recognizable song, and this was one of his biggest songs right there. So I don't see anything wrong with him performing that. Furthermore, again, going back to my point about global reach and audience, I'm not sure if everyone even know, what the song is saying. It's a diss song and lyric wise and all that. So he could have had that song for the whole show, and most people wouldn't even get it. It'll go either over their head or under the radar. So again, I don't have a problem with that. I just think the show overall could have been, much better. It looked like they skimped too. To me, they look like they skimped them. If you looked at the halftime show last year and that production versus or any one of the productions of the last several years, and that particular show, it looked like they skimped. It looked like they was low budget on that show.
Right. Um, I am Licia says I did not like it at first, but when I saw the reviews and explanation on what he was trying to say, I'm all for it. And now she gets it. So that's another point. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of people on there that didn't understand what he
Well,
was talking.
that's the point I'm making. That's the point I make. The time of the place, or the artist. A lot of people didn't get it, but I mean, if if we have the benefit of hindsight, and we have the benefit of going back and looking at it and analyzing it and reviewing it, understanding it, then yeah, I'm sure that at some point, sometimes something hits you now and you don't get it until later. So it could be, it could be that effect.
Yeah, Good Girl says I liked it with a caveat. He had a bigger message that I understood.
Wow. Well, nice, nice,
Okay.
nice.
So I guess everybody pretty much, I mean, those who understood the message, I guess we're fine with him being there. I just personally, oh, but she says, but he's not a Super Bowl headliner. So I guess she agrees with you. Now,
Yeah, that's my point. Now, you know what? I wouldn't knock him down like that and say that he's not a Super Bowl headliner. He's made a name for himself, but certain artists can come to the stage, carry the whole stage by themselves.
mhm.
They, to tell you the truth, certain artists don't even need a band. And then other artists need a whole production around them. That's just
Yeah,
the way it
and
is.
yeah, and he's a big artist. Let's not
Right.
get it twisted, right?
Right.
Obviously, the Grammys show that he's a big artist too. But when you talk about mass appeal and there's everybody there who's listening to music, that's where I feel like the selection wasn't right. Because
Right.
let's say he had a catalog of songs that were more universally understood and accepted, then yes, but it was almost like, and I hate to say this being that I'm black, I hate to
Say
say
it.
this,
Say
it
it.
all it almost is like it was just for us,
Right.
almost,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because if I'm a white, and I don't even want to be. Let me not assume this. There's a lot of
No,
white
keep
people.
going. Keep
There's a
going.
lot of white people that like rap. It's a common music now, and they listen to the most deepest rap too. And they like this artist that we're talking
Right.
about. But there's a lot that were like, what the hell is he saying? He's rapping too fast. So the message is like, is gone out the window, whatever you're trying to achieve. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's where I kind of feel a little disconnected, you know, but
Yeah.
I love Kendrick, you know, and
Yeah,
I
but
wish he would have done the other song, We Gonna Be All Right. That's what I really needed to hear. That's the song right there.
I love that. That's right. That's the song I love. We Gonna Be All Right. And I Love Myself. I know that's not the title of the song, but that's the theme of it. I Love Myself. Those are the two songs that I like. But to speak to your point, you know, maybe that was the point, that the message wasn't for everybody. And we on this platform, I'm going to put out this message. The ones who get it, and ones who don't. You know, I would think that must have been the ideology around this, because I don't think anyone said we're putting Kendrick Lamar on a Super Bowl and everybody's going to love it. I don't see, like, if we sitting in the boardroom talking about this, it ain't nowhere in the world you're going to convince me everyone said, okay, yeah, that's right. Nah, everyone didn't see it.
I agree.
They took a big...
I agree with you 100%. And I think, you know, I think there's a statement. Now, let me ask one more question before we go to the next topic, because here's another big one. People were upset that New Orleans didn't throw Wayne up for that. And I really personally feel that Wayne should have done it. They're in New Orleans, and Wayne's got so many crossover songs. It would have been a way better experience. If you guys in the chat agree, say yes. But I really think that Wayne would have been the best out of the two, to, you know, that night in terms of his catalog.
Okay. I have two sides to it. One side is that they don't always, you know, pick an artist from the city where the Super Bowl is played. So, I mean, I can understand the association, but that's not the way they do it. But to speak to your point, Lil Wayne would have been a great artist to have came out and somehow been intertwined and interwoven into the show. So that would have been a good way of doing that, because Usher, when he had his Super Bowl show, it was a homage to Atlanta, and he came and he brought all the Atlanta artists with him. You know, so you know that I kind of speaks to your point. So yeah, you know. But you know, to each his own. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope everyone got it. And sometimes you look at the halftime show as the highlight of the show. I'm just gonna say this. For me, it was not.
It wasn't for me either. It was, and you know, I felt bad because, you know, like, to be honest with you, like, again, I'm not really big into football that much unless it's like one or two teams that are playing. I want to watch like everybody else. Otherwise, I don't know anybody. I'm not really watching. But on Sunday, I just felt like left out. You know what I'm saying? And then I end up like, I went to the grocery store just to get a couple things, and everybody was buying food for the Super Bowl, and I just like, man, I felt left out. And you know, I was like, well, hold up. Well, I'm gonna buy some goods. Let me buy some buffalo wings. And let me buy this pizza. Okay, and I started buying stuff as if I'm gonna, like, I'm watching the game too. And I came home with all this stuff, and my wife was like, it's just three of us. Why you got a pizza? Why you got mozzarella sticks? Why you got buffalo wings? Why you got this? I had like bought like $70 worth of food, like I'm having a party.
Having a Super Bowl party, right?
and she was like, "What are you doing?" It's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good. It's good. It's good to celebrate. It's good to have that moment. You know.
Right.
I mean, I think the Super Bowl has made up to be something bigger than just a game, and so that's a good thing.
Right. All right. So I think what we should do now is really shift to the main topic today that we want to discuss. And what is that topic, Des?
That topic is ageism in the workplace. And we're questioning, you know, how does ageism in the workplace affect our current employment landscape? And are there people who are being left behind? Are there people whose skills are not matching up? Are there people whose skills need to be refreshed? this is the topic of the day, and I think this is going to be a fantastic discussion.
Yeah, so let me set the tone. Um, Now that we got all the cordials out of the way, uh, in today's fast-paced world, technology is evolving at like a lightning rate, right? You know,
Right.
especially due to things like of course, artificial intelligence, right? And remote work, the tools and the digital communication platforms that have developed just over the last 4 or 5 years. I think I read something maybe a year or two ago, matter of fact, that the technology in the next 5 years is going to speed up our workforce into a whole new era. It's going to cut down 10 years of growth, just the new technology, bringing us closer to that Star Trek age, whatever you think about. A lot of things you would see in Star Trek are actually here, right? Um, but the bigger question is, with all these major changes that are happening, you know, what about the employees who are long tenured with certain skill sets? What's going to happen? How are they feeling? How are they transitioning, right, Des?
That's right. That's a big question. And the funny thing is that if you go back several decades, it was always the responsibility of the company. The company took it as a responsibility to train uh, and develop their workforce. And oftentimes, if you were part of a large corporation, they did that. They had training courses, they had the latest technology and the latest programs and different things that came out. They will give opportunity for their employees to learn these things. And even if they brought in instructors and gave a course and stuff like that in house, they would do that. Those days are long gone. And now the onus falls on the individual to stay abreast of the changing landscape and stay abreast of the different technology. And this puts this puts you know the pieces of a puzzle in place as it relates to competition. You have to figure out how do you stay abreast of what's happening, what's the latest technology, and how do you play a part in this. So we're seeing a change in tide, and if you're an individual who is adverse to learning something new, doing something new, trying something new, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have a
Yes.
problem, and you're gonna have to change the way you think.
Right. So I'd like to ask a question in the poll. Are you concerned about AI in the workplace? Yes or no? Please go to that little treasure box at the top and let us know what you're thinking in the community here. And we
But
like
I
to
want to break.
discuss it. Mhm.
I want to break down something, and I want us to be clear because everybody keeps throwing around the term AI. That's the new term to throw around. But everything is not AI. For it to be, technologically advanced, for it to be part of automation, but for it to be AI, that's artificial intelligence. That is a program, that's a learning program that is developing and growing on itself. So everything that it does, it learns from it, and then each time it goes better and better, and it uses what it learned. That's half. So that's artificial intelligence, and then you have automation. If you just took artificial intelligence out of the equation, automation has always been here. And automation is growing and will continue to grow. And technology is making it better, making it faster, making it more productive. So automation is a part of it. But everything is not artificial intelligence.
Right. You still can vote if you like. There's a little treasure box at the top. You just tap it and let us know what your thoughts are. Are you concerned about AI in the workplace? So far, we have one person that says no. Um, and that might be because, I think certain jobs, and we'll talk a little bit about the things that could be changing over the next 4 or 5 years. But to your point, everything's not AI, but the fact is that AI is kind of like at the forefront of everything, and you're
Yeah,
seeing it everywhere, and it's
yeah.
marketed and all that stuff. That's where people are kind of like getting a little worried about it. I have one response saying, "Are you concerned?" Well, actually, 100%, 100%. Well, only one person voted, so 100% for one person. I'm not sure what others may feel. But the fact is this, I think most people could be concerned based on if their job is being impacted. It depends on
Exactly.
what industry you're in, right?
Right.
Because there's certain jobs that would be hard for AI to take over, like counseling, therapy. You know what I'm saying? At least for now.
Well, yeah, exactly. At least for now, it they actually have the technology that is doing counseling and therapy and stuff like that. So they actually have that in place, so it can take over anything, but
Well, the
it can't.
fact is,
You go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you
No,
were
go
done.
ahead.
No, I was saying the fact is, to your point, ChatGPT, you could go on ChatGPT and ask any question about, what should I do if I'm in a, abusive relationship, and it would
Right.
give you about the same advice you would get if you went to go get the help. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? From a
Yeah.
counselor. I'm keeping
Because
it
that's
real.
what it's pulling from. It's pulling from a database of previous help and stuff that's out there. So it's bringing all that data into play when it's answering your question.
Correct, correct. So here's a couple things that people may need to know over the next 5 years. AI is expected to significantly transform the work industry by automating repetitive tasks. So things that people do at repetition being done by AI, enhancing decision making, like we just talked about Chat GBT. At my
Right.
job, I just use Chat GBT, which is allowed at my company. They encourage us to use it. It's built up. It's Microsoft Pilot. That's what it's called. I
Right.
just use that to help me put together my business integrity conclusion of an
Mm.
investigation I was doing, right? And it gave me all the component parts that I should be thinking about, and saved me literally like millions of seconds, because the fact is this, if I didn't use it,
Absolutely.
I would have had, we got a lot on our mind. So we're thinking about a lot of things, and now you got to write a report. Your mind is already, all over the place.
Absolutely.
It's like having an assistant, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
At that point. So
Absolutely.
things like that. Also developing new trades through AI, so there'll be new jobs through that. So it's not all concern about jobs leaving, but there will be new jobs defined through these companies now that we have AI. So some of the industries, like in automation of routine work, improved decision making, personalized learning and upskilling, enhanced customer service. I don't know if you guys been noticing a lot of bots when you ask questions on checking your phone on the internet, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of things where you're seeing it now, and
Right.
some of the key industries that you're going to see that they're saying they're going to experience a lot of change around it is healthcare, manufacturing, finance, and transportation. So, what's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Absolutely. And to even expand that, from a creative standpoint, we have hands in the publishing business, stuff like that. We've hired, designers, graphic designers, photographers, all type of creative people. And AI, I'm already working on projects now. AI replaces all that. We can do that quicker, cheaper, and just as great as of work utilizing AI than hiring, a plethora of individuals. So, there are aspects of it you should be concerned about, but then it depends on what side of the table you're on. As a business owner, you say, hey, this can cut down, create efficiency, cut down on time, and cut costs. You
Right.
know, I'm all in. But at the same time, I want everyone to bear in mind with technology across the board, technology don't create itself. Technology didn't create itself. Everything that you utilize has been designed, built, maintained by someone. So when new technology comes, and that's artificial intelligence, that there is a behind the scene aspect of that, of programming and stuff like that. So it's nothing stopping any individual saying, "Well, I want to learn more about that. I want to somehow get involved in that. I want to somehow, utilize that for my business or so on and so forth." So I always tell people, embrace it.
Right.
Embrace the change because there's always opportunity in change.
Right. And we're going to kind of get into about change in a few here. Let
Mhm.
me ask you. Let me ask those in the chat. What concerns you the most about technology today? Is it privacy, job loss, or change? And that's the next poll question. There's a little box, treasure box. You just tap it and hit A, B, or C. Let us know what you're thinking. Yeah, I think that, you know, just like when we first got the PC, right? And we
Yep.
went from typing to, those who've been around that, like typing to keyboarding, right? And
Right.
then we had the computer. Everyone was worried about the computer replacing the job. The computer brought in so many different jobs and ways of working
Right.
that, it changed our entire, workforce behind the computer, right?
Of course.
You have kids now. I mean, they're learning programming in high school, I think
Absolutely.
now, right? I
Oh, even
mean,
before that.
exactly. So, you know, I don't think people should be fearful, but I do think people should be, ahead of the game and be and embrace better what's happening, because the scare is losing your ground and you're as a subject matter expert as things change. But I think that has a lot to do with us, right?
Right. Well, absolutely. Let's just let me just play double advocate and give an example of the train of thought that people should have. You know, in the metropolitan New York area, certain states and cities some time ago put into place that when you shop, you're not going to get a bag, or you're not going to get you're not going to get plastic bags. They're eliminating plastic bag for obvious reason, recycling and waste and all that. And so many people, there was an uproar now. Well, how am I not going to have a bag? What am I going to have to do? And all of this and all that. I need a bag. When I go shopping, I get a lot of things. And as it was put in place, now you see everyone walking into a store with a bag in their hand. What all the concern was and how it's going to affect them, and the big change was a much to do about nothing. And that's the way change go. You at first you're saying, oh, it's going to be how it's going to affect me. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be that, and then as it happens, you realize it's not as big deal as you think it is. And I hope that people understand that. Life is going to move on. Technology is going to grow. It's going to get better. But we're not us against the technology. We are part of the technology. We are part of the change. And just be open. If you open to it, open to learn, open to grow, you're going to see how it's going to evolve.
Well, there's that's the larger part of the conversation, because I mean, I hear you saying not to be fearful of it. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be fearful, because whenever something changes, some things have to go. And back to business, as you said, if you're running a business, I don't care if you're running a pizza shop, you know, a salon, or a major corporation with hundreds and hundreds of employees.
Right.
Everybody is in the business to make a profit. And if things
Absolutely.
change, sometimes
Absolutely.
a business doesn't want to change what they're doing because everything's working, but because everybody else in their sector of business is changing, they have to change, because if
Of
they
course.
don't, they won't receive the same savings on their business, ROI wise, that the others are doing. If they don't, then their stocks, you know what I'm saying? So,
Well, if you don't change and you don't evolve, you'll be out of business.
right.
Because the ones who adopt the new technologies and the ones who know how to apply it, just because there's new technology out there doesn't mean you know how to apply it into your business landscape, and how it affects your business and how you could turn it around to make profit from it. Everyone don't know how to do that. But if you learn the new technology and know how to do that, then you're going to benefit. If you someone resistant to that, oh, you're gonna definitely lag behind. There's no question about that.
Right. So let me ask you guys this question, because now we're going to shift to change and ageism, which was one of the main topics we wanted to talk about. I'm going to put another poll, one of the last polls. Hopefully, you guys could hit it. It's a little box you'll see, like a treasure box, right above me. You just tap it, and you can answer the question. How do you manage change? What do you manage change well? Yes or no? And be honest, okay? Don't try to sit here and act like you got it all together when you don't. Okay. It's this little box, little thing at the top. You got like 1 minute to hit it and let us know what you're thinking, and we'll see what's going on. So we were here to also talk about ageism and combine that with the new technologies that are happening, because why I'm passionate about this topic, let's keep it real. I'm 52 years old, but everybody mostly thinks I'm like 25 or something because of my skin.
I told you, when I disagree, I'm going to hit you with one.
But you know, it's a compliment. I always take it. Oh man, you look like you're 25. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. You know,
Nah, you look good, man. You look good.
Thank you. But in any case, right, putting that to the side, I'm passionate about the topic because in my profession as an HR, guru, for the last 30 years working with people, where I see the technology being a struggle. And by the way, it says, do you manage change well? I have, only one person answered the poll. I don't know if there's something wrong with the poll, but they said yes. Okay. I think that people who are older, 40 and above, struggle more with the technology changes that are happening, especially in these major corporations, because it's moving so fast. And when you're accustomed to working a certain way for so long and it's been working, I think when we get older, we have this tendency to not want to change. And the reason why I say that, Des, is because I think about my parents,
Right.
I think about, let's say, my mother, for example. Hopefully she's not on here. Don't be offended, mother. But, she's in her late 60s, and, you, she's got to have everything shown to her. How do you do this? And how do you do that on the phone? How do you do that? How do you do that? People now in their late age, people are working until their early 70s now, just because of the economy.
Of course.
But what is not changing and evolving is their interest to try and learn new things. It's almost like, you can't teach a dog, old tricks.
New tricks.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
I do see that. But then I see people on this platform in their 70s, on this platform, trying to date, turning on their camera and doing all this stuff to meet people. So
Right.
the fact is, I know that there's people out there, our age group, that still have to work, but then they're going to work and they're like, everything's changing, and they're fighting the change, and they'll be the ones that get changed out. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this subject matter hit home when you talk, you speak about your mother, because my mother went through the same thing. And by the way, say hi to mom for me. Yeah, she went through the same thing. My late mom worked for the Board of Education for almost 30 years, and you know, she was there where it was paper and files and this and that, and in her role working with the district office and superintendents, obviously they start to come up of age into the technology age. So in fact, in a place like the Board of Education and in the medical field, they don't just start with technology and go forward. When they have technology put in place, they got to go back. All the files and things and stuff that they have from the back, as much of it they can, they try to put it all into the database. And so my mother was hit with the technology, what we used to do before in files and this and that. Well, here's how we're going to do it, and here's the technology. And she was slow with adapting, slow with getting up to date with that and stuff like that. And it became a huge issue. And thank God that she was in the union and everything, that they supported her and stuff like that, because yes, that was a perfect example of how if you don't embrace it, or if you're slow to embrace it, you'll be not only aged out, you'll be worked out.
Yeah.
So, and it happens to people every day. And the sad part is it happens to people because of them, because of what they do or don't do, but it also happens to them whether they do anything or not. They can be a victim of it.
Oh yeah, because I'm kind of similarly going through something like that at my current place of employment. There's a lot of change, and my company has embraced AI in every single capacity, whether
Right.
it be in the manufacturing factory areas that we have across the globe, as well as in our HR department. It's all changing. And one thing that I did, being aware of it, and I want to make a comment, so I don't want to forget, because I saw Good Girl said part of managing change well is admitting when you don't know how to do something,
That's a
and
fact.
open to
That's a
learn.
fact.
And I agree with her 2000%, because
Yeah.
I've had to put myself in check. Like I'm
Yeah.
seeing myself, I'm seeing the young come in, and see, young people are more moldable. They're here, they come in, they just graduated from school, they want to soak in everything, they want to learn everything. So their willingness to embrace change is threshold is way higher than
Right.
someone who's been in the game for a long time and has to like reinvent themselves now, and they get a little content
Right.
20 years in the company and they don't want to change.
Right.
I've had to tell myself, being around some of the young talent that's come in, you know, be okay to be vulnerable and say, I don't know something. Can you show me how you did that? Right?
Right. Of course.
Because there's a lot of things they don't know that I know that I'm there for too. Because most companies, they don't want just a bunch of young people. They want to still keep the senior talent because they have the skill sets and the experience and the broad knowledge that they want them to hand down to the young, new talent that's coming in that does have the new skill sets
Absolutely.
already because they learned them in school, but they don't have the broadness and business acumen that's needed yet, that they need to
Absolutely.
get from me. You follow me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every company want to soak up your brain trust and transfer it to a younger employee. But yeah, I would say to anyone, time was always going to march on. It's always going to march on. Technology is going to be growing, and you just have to push yourself to embrace it, understand it. And you said something very interesting. You said, and rightfully so, no one knows everything. And Miss Good Girl said that best. You have to know when to say I don't know, and that's being honest with yourself. But in our current advanced technology state, you really can't say you don't know anything because all the information you need is right at your fingertip. Like if someone said something and you never heard it before, you could turn away in 1 second, Google it, and come back with them and say, okay, I've heard about it. And then it's up to you to dig deeper into what it is and how it operates and so on and so forth. But you cannot, that's a cop out if you say, I don't know, because you have the answer to something right at your fingertips. And we just have to be willing to embrace the technology, willing to embrace change. And what's most important is be willing to always grow. If you're living, if you're breathing, if your heart is beating, be willing to always grow. Always grow and learn something new. That's the spice of life, whether it's work related or outside work. Be willing. And in that mindset, then you're going to be a little more open to embrace things. Whether you fear it or not, whether you like it or not, it's happening.
Yes, that's right. And just a couple things in the chat. Tia, my sister as well, another sister back on the platform. Welcome. It's like the circle of life, she says. And
That's right.
But I think I think when we get into this age, we die faster when we choose not to allow new things into our mind. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I'm super conscious of. Like, I want to stay curious. I want to stay learning the new tech. First of all, I love technology, so I was always wanting to be the first to learn it. So whenever, even at my job, when I heard AI was coming, I was like, okay, I got to have the right conversations with the right people so I could be on the project teams that are bring it in, so I can keep my value, but also learn the new latest skill sets, right?
Right.
And I even downloaded a Courser, which is really cheap. It's not that, I think it's like $30 for the year. It teaches you all the new, AI applications, and it's very user friendly. And I highly recommend anyone who wants to like really get ahead of AI, just do something like that on your own time, so that you can acquire that skill set, put it on your resume, so that you can say, yeah, I'm very fluent with this, because there's a world that is coming where AI is going to be built into your work, and
Yes,
you can't avoid that, right?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You can't avoid it. It's here. It's growing, and I can attest that it's creating a more efficient process and cost effective. And when you put efficient and cost effectiveness to it, it's here to stay. But it's going to affect different people in different ways. So it all depends on what industry you're in, what you do, what side of the table you're on. Are you an employee or an employer? Affects different people in different ways.
Right. And if you're in a company that's making changes and you're kind of being known as the resistor to change, like I said, you get changed out. So you want
Yeah,
to be
you got a
more,
problem.
you want to be a change agent in that moment, what we
That's
call a
right.
change agent. You want to be a part of the change. And change doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean just accepting all the changes. There's things I don't like about some of the changes that are happening, but overall, I understand the overall business goal. And
Right.
what I'm doing is being a step ahead with the change. I'm going, okay, I don't know if this might change my circumstances here, but I will be kind of keep my eyes out, outside the company to see what other opportunities exist, because you just have to be honest with yourself. Like you said,
Yeah.
sometimes it's really not about what you're doing. There's nothing you can do, and you might be changed out, and you might need to just check out new opportunities, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we're talking about two different things that I want to touch on with that. One is it's not hard to stay abreast of what's going on because no matter what industry you're in, there's trade publications, there's trade information about that industry, and it's speaking about the changing tide. And so, if you're in marketing, there's plenty of marketing publications, marketing articles that speaks about the changing tide in the marketing industry. And when they start talking about implementation of automation or artificial intelligence, stuff like that, that's when you have to pay attention to those cues. And you have to start saying, okay, I'm curious and find out more about it and find out more about it and look into it and read about it and stuff like that. And those are little baby steps you can take before you delve into learning new technology. It just starts with being abreast of the changing tide within the industries.
Right.
And that it doesn't matter what industry you're in. That should be something that you adapt and stay abreast of what's happening within your business.
Mm-hmm.
But you just mentioned something else. Hold on for a minute.
Yep. And while you do that, those who are in the chat, just letting you know, we're at 7,000 engagement. I appreciate any claps. For those who just came in and new to the platform, if you hit that little heart, you just tap it. It brings the algorithm up, it puts our show deeper into the live so more people can see it, because we're just at humble beginnings. This is our third show, and we're going to be doing this for a long time. So we plan on growing. Know how long? Doesn't matter how long it takes, right? But what you can be doing to help us grow is share out the live. If you're here, share out the live. Keep hitting them hearts. And don't forget to hit the little heart me at the top. What that does, that gives you 45 points for your own live if you decide to go live. And it also gives us more points for our live to help push us further on our algorithm. All right. So I appreciate that. And also commenting in the chat also helps as well. So let's keep this chat active. So I want to ask you guys a question. So we've talked a lot about we talked a lot about ageism. We talked about the technology that's coming in. Many of you said that you're not worried about it. Some of you are. Whatever the case might be. Matter of fact, um, what is your what do you think people in our age group struggle the most with? Why it's so hard to continue to have the mindset of learning and development? Why do you think we get stagnant on wanting to develop and learn more once we get to this age group? And Des, while we're looking for comments in the chat, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously it's complacency. You get comfortable. You get comfortable with the position you're in or the job you have, and then when you get comfortable, you are resistant for change because change can be fearful for some. I've been an entrepreneur and a business owner for so long that I embrace change. I look for change because in every change and in every transition, there lies opportunity. So when the change comes, I'm not looking at change. I don't care about that. I'm looking at what is the opportunity within this change. But everyone don't have that mindset, and everyone, don't have that experience. So obviously, change can be fearful for a lot of people. So that's what it is, because like I said, once you have the benefit of hindsight, and you look back and you think about things, you be like, oh, I was so fearful about this or fearful about that, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would have been. That's going to be the case across the board. When you look at things, it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be when you're looking ahead. So, people fear the change and they fear the discomfort that change may bring. But it's an old saying, change is inevitable.
Yeah, I am Licia says emotional attachment to the current state.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you 2000% because when you're emotionally wrapped up in resisting a change, it's really hard to change. You know what I'm saying? At that point, and you get so complacent, like you said. I think the best value we can do for us, especially for people above 40 who's been like a career professional in their trade, is
Right.
always be looking ahead. Like you said, the information's out there. There's
Right.
free information out there. But also the bigger part of change to me is not just in the workplace. It's also in your other areas in your life. You know, the biggest changes I've made in the last 5 years have turned me into a whole entirely new person. That's the way I feel. I really feel like I'm reborn, like I died and came back to life. No joke, right? And
Right.
I've said this to you several times. Matter of fact,
Absolutely.
yesterday, having a
Absolutely.
very honest conversation with you, I
Absolutely.
had to tell you, I was like, Des, the man you knew 20 years ago when we started the magazine, Renaissance Man magazine, is not the same man today. Like
Exactly.
he's the man I'm the man without the traumas
Right.
associated to it. I'm
Right.
a man without the low self esteem. I'm a man who has a lot more, you know, happiness in his life today because I'm not carrying the same baggages that used to weigh me down, right? And therefore, we were talking about my change in how I view my time in life, right? And my time is my highest commodity. And when we talk about if we're talking about getting together at a certain time of night, I'm with you, but I'm filling up all that other time. And I told you I'm not if I could stay up all night, I would not go to sleep because
Right.
this new change in me has made me respect time in a
Fine.
whole nother way, right?
Right.
So I take that to work with me. When I go to work, I'm like, I wake up in the morning and I'm on my 2 hour ride and I'm listening to meditation music, I'm listening to affirmations, and it's
Right.
shaping the way I'm gonna come to work. So even though I know my company is going through all this change, I'm like guarded from it emotionally because of the changes I've made in myself to be able to adjust. You follow me?
I follow you completely. And I feel blessed to bear witness of that evolution of Mr. J. D'Angelo. And I too have evolved so much and worked on myself, and as we discussed, and I feel the same way you do. Feel the same way you do. Rebirth, looking at things differently, approaching things differently, feeling life and life energy differently, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it does feel like a new life, a rebirth. So yeah, I think that I think and I wish and I hope and pray that everyone could feel that.
Right.
But for you to feel that, you got to be willing to make that adjustment and be open for what come what may.
Right.
And that's and now if we go into like a spiritual standpoint, you have to have faith and be able to trust and believe in things that you can't see, you can't touch, and you can't taste.
Yeah, Tia says a lot of people self sabotage themselves and forget their worth.
That those are the people who holding themselves back, and there's no respect of man. Anyone can fall victim to that.
right. Good
I
girl
think we
says.
all have at one point or another.
Good girl says change can mean giving up control, and that can feel like a threat. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That's part and partial to change.
Right. I think if you don't change, you're not growing. It's simple as that. And there's so much on this earth that we have not discovered. I'm trying to see every single crevice of this earth before I leave it, so it can change my viewpoint on
Right.
life. Because the more we experience, the more we grow, right? Um,
Right.
and I think you know this is a great topic we had today, and I hope some people actually got something out of it, because there's going to be a lot of changes due to technology in the next 4 to 5 years.
And I
McDonald's
would,
ain't going to look
I
the
want to
same in the next 5 years.
absolutely. I want to interject because I like to break things down and break things out, as I
Okay.
did with AI and automation. And so, change, we can't paint that with an umbrella. You have actual change, but then you also have evolution, how things evolve. And although change is a component of evolution, you got to understand things will evolve. There is no technology, there is no process, there is no anything that should just stay the same. For it to grow, it has to evolve. And part of that
Okay.
evolution is change.
You hit. You know what, brother? I like I like that you said that. Can we go just on a little bit more with that, because you just opened up something else that just really we should talk about before we end. I know we said an hour, but if those have to leave, I appreciate you even being here for this long time. Again, we value your time, so if you choose to be here for
Absolutely.
5 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour, thank you, because we're at humble beginning. So I just want to clap to you. Right. Now, you just touched on something. We're talking about change. Oh, thank you for the hat. Appreciate it.
Ah,
Talking
oh,
about
someone could put a hat on you.
someone just put a hat on my head. This is
Oh,
all kind of new for us.
oh, I'm gonna put a
Oh,
hat on you.
hey, it's my brother D Influence from another. We have another group. I was just on an hour ago. You know what? D, can you come on for a moment? We're about to take this conversation. Let me know if the chat if you can come on for a minute. I'd like to introduce you to D Wilder, my partner. Type yes in the chat if you have time. I don't want to put you on the spot, but in any case, yeah, I wanted to bring that because you just tapped on something. We were talking about change in the workplace. Oh, he said
Right.
yes. Give me 1 second. Let me bring him in. Do you have the ability to do co-host? Because we're in co-host. You got to go live. Then I can bring you in. So go live. Then I can bring you in, and I'll send you an invite. So you were talking about change. We're talking about change in the workplace, but I think it's appropriate because it's Valentine's Day, and I want to know in the chat, you guys. Next Thursday is our last Valentine's Day theme. We have a couple opportunities that we're thinking about talking about, but especially you women in the chat, if there's anything specific you would like for us to talk about next Thursday before Valentine's Day, let us know in the chat, and we'll think about including that in, because we're putting together our Thursday episode for Valentine's Day theme.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Change, not just at work, but you were talking a little about evolution and us changing as people. But
Right.
when you're changing with somebody in a relationship,
Ah.
right?
Ah.
What I want to ask you about, what do you feel about how to properly progress a relationship through change? Because a lot of times people change separately by themselves,
Right.
and they're not changing together. So
Right.
what would you kind of speak on that in terms of improving that in our relationship?
But that's an interesting point you said, because you had the question and the answer all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one to grow, you have to first grow individually. I think it's almost impossible for two separate human beings to grow at the same time together.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to grow individually and grow into wherever you're growing into, but hopefully into a better person. And then the other individual is growing as well. And then you can grow together. Oftentimes we see the polar opposite. We see one person growing, somebody regressing. But if you're going to grow together and you're going to go together, you have to work on yourself. You know, we all are human beings, so we can always use improvement. We can always be a better version of ourselves. And when we're a better version of ourselves as individuals, that means we're a better version of ourselves for other people. Work on yourself. I think once you start, and this happened to me because you know me, I was very hard on things, hard on people, demanding, even to a certain extent critical. And then I started to do a lot of introspective work, which was heaven sent, God sent truly. And I started to help me look at things differently, look at life differently, look at people differently. And so the key is once you start doing the work on yourself, I believe everything is going to fall into place. You don't even have to start working on togetherness, working on changing somebody else. Just start with the fact that you need to work on yourself, and you're going to see things start to fall into place.
Okay. So let me properly introduce the influence. First, I want to say those who are in the chat, our show is an hour long, but this is the after. Since we're talking about this topic, this is the
This is the after
after
party.
party
After
on the
party.
topic. So if you gotta go, I respect you having to
Be
go.
careful now. Be careful.
This is the after party topic. So let me introduce D Influence. D Influence is part of another men's group that we have that comes on every Monday at what is that, 8 p.m.
8
right?
p.m. Eastern. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he has 3,133 followers and
Nice.
1,939 following. He's a full-time motivator backup, and you gotta tell us a little bit about that. But in any case, he is here, unbeknownst. But I had to bring him in once I saw him in the chat because he came to show me love. So thank you for being here, my brother.
Appreciate it. We just got off the other call, so that's why I'm just jumping on.
Now you know why I have to leave
real
early.
long.
My show starts at 10. That's why I have to leave that show early.
Right. Yeah.
We had a great show. It's always tough to leave that show.
Yeah.
Des, I gotta invite you so you can come meet these guys. It's a great group.
Absolutely.
All right. But Influence, just let you know, this is our show is Renaissance Man live show. We had a magazine 20 years, me and Desmond Wilder, and it was a show about betterment of men. And I don't know if I showed it to you before, but this was the magazine, just so you can see it, right?
Oh, nice.
And it was really about bringing up the brothers and showing all facets of our life. It was a great magazine. So now we're here with the digital format. This is our third episode, and this episode is on change in the workplace, and we've kind of progressed it now to change in relationship. How do we change together? So that I'll let you give us your 2 cents. How do you feel about that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. And so as far as being in a relationship and changing, you have to be able to adjust and move as your partner adjusts and move. There's always a level of compromise that comes with being in a relationship. And so life is going to happen. Things are going to change. People are going to grow. You're not necessarily going to grow in the same way that your spouse or your partner is growing. But as those changes come, if your foundation is strong enough, you'll be able to endure any change or any differences. One of the things I always tell people is that when you're in the dating process, the things that you don't like, don't think that they're going to change. Accept them as they are. Right. Because it's going to be a whole lot of other things that you've never seen before that's going to come up once you're in the relationship.
Right.
And so you got to be prepared to make those changes as well. So, it's just a matter of making the proper adjustments and understanding that people grow and change. And so, just like the world is changing, technology is changing, everything is in order to grow, we have to change. You don't want to be the same person you were 20 years ago when you first got married. You want to hope that you have matured and grow and that your spouse is growing and maturing with you. So I'm not sure if that's on topic, but
it's on topic. But let me ask
you. On topic, yeah.
Let me ask you a little further though about that. First of all, I can't remember. Are you married or?
Yes, yes. I've been
Yeah, how
married for
long you been
12
married?
years. Been married for
Okay.
12 years. Yeah.
So we're all we're all married men. We're all married men, so we only have a married men view right now, right?
Hmm.
Um, but let me ask you this though: how do you how do you feel change should be managed between two people? Because what I think a lot of people that end up in divorce is due to people changing and not being comfortable to share changes they want to see in their relationship, right? So,
Hmm.
I mean, from your personal experience, like, what do you feel has worked for you? Because 12 years is a long time, right?
Yeah.
And marriage is, marriage is in 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? On
Right.
average,
Right.
what
I,
works for you?
I know for us, it's been all about the communication. It's all about the communication. It's all about presenting an environment that you feel comfortable in sharing what you're really dealing and going through. And then also, not only that, but deciding which battles you want to fight.
That's right.
So
That's right.
some
Pick your
people,
battles.
yeah,
Pick your
some
battles.
people will fight everything tooth and nail. They are always looking for something, and you have to be able to. Okay, so this is what's happening today. Okay, I'm not going to even trip off of it. And I think
Right.
when you start looking at the big picture of what you have, the little things that a lot of people end up getting divorced over is not even worth it. And you have to be selfless. There's a selflessness that comes with being married, and you really have to, scripturally it says, you put the needs of your spouse before your needs. You want to make
Right.
sure that they're taken care of.
Right.
So I think it's just a combination of things that has worked for us. People talk about don't go to bed mad. Um,
Yeah,
I go to bed often
yeah.
because if I'm not able to articulate what I want to say in a calm way, um, I just don't say it at all. And nobody ever believes me when I say this, that we've been married for 12 years, but we have never had a fight. Loud raising our voice, yelling, screaming,
Oh
cussing.
wow.
We don't do that,
Right.
you
Right.
know, because we understand communication. A lot of that comes from our background and our childhood and growing up and seeing all that toxic type behavior.
Right.
But and when you've been through something like that, you learn that it's not what you want, and so you do everything to try to avoid it.
You avoid that.
But I think definitely the communication is a key piece, and just allowing a space for somebody to be able to share what they're dealing with and what they're going through. And that's a process. It took a
Yep.
while.
Yep.
I know early on, anytime I tried to share what I was dealing with, and I talked about this a little on the men's call tonight, um, when I tried to share something that I was going through, the conversation always changed to uh, how I said what I said and not what I actually said.
Right.
That's a fact.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it was never
And
discussed.
or the tone of what you're
Right,
saying. Right.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so the tears would start falling, or they get
Yeah.
upset, and
Right.
so the whole conversation now shifts to how I made you feel, and oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. And so what actually was trying to be discussed never got discussed.
Right.
I don't know if
Right.
that's a defense mechanism that some women use, or if that's just what, but
Well, no, it's a combination of two things. For some, it can be a defense. For others, it could be a level of manipulation.
mhm,
But at the very base of it, it's real. It's real because tone do matter, and it took me
mhm.
a long time to realize that. It take because it's a person. I say what I mean. I mean what I say,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking facts here. So regardless of how I said it, this is the fact. But I had to come to the realization. Yes, it does matter how
Hmm.
you say it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you have to understand who you're speaking to.
yeah, let me give you a couple. There's a couple comments in the chat, gentlemen. So let me just share with you. Good girl wants to know from you guys, what do you value most about your wives and what has been your biggest hurdles? I'll go first. You guys want to think about it. I would say what I value most about my wife, and just so you know, I don't get killed, because she's on this platform, and I want to survive the night. Okay. Um, no, I'm just kidding. She's
Be
on the
careful.
platform.
Be
She's
careful.
on the platform. Okay. All right. No, but no, seriously. There's a lot of I value about her, but one of the number one things that I value about her the most is her perseverance,
Right. Right.
her strength, because she's got her mom's qualities. They're very strong women, right? And she's very strong. Um, I know she's like my protector in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Um, she's always got my back. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I do value because, I've been in other relationships where I felt like it was all about them. It was, and I
Yeah,
felt
just
like I
stay
was,
focused. Stay focused on your wife. Stay focused on your wife.
okay.
You stay right there. You're doing so good. Stay
Can you
right there.
can you mute your mic, please? Can you mute your mic? All right.
Stay right there.
All right.
Trust me. You're gonna thank me later. Stay
All
right
right.
there.
But the hurdle, right? The hard part is the hurdle, okay? The hurdle is, I would say, that we've had to learn is how to communicate. We've been with each other for almost the same amount of time, you influence now. And there's always a period of time, I think, in a relationship when people have to be honest. Okay, we need to refresh. We need to learn how to talk to each other again because we're too busy in work and being successful and raising a kid and keeping the home straight. We need to figure out how to refresh our relationship and be able to understand each other better. And that was a hurdle that we both did together, and and it made us better for it. And that's what I would say is the best thing about being honest in a relationship and saying, hey, this is the way I feel, and how can I better make you feel better and build uh, hear your voice better in a relationship, right? And I'll give myself a clap for that. I think that was good. Hey, baby, if that was good, could you let me know in the chat? Just give me a yes, please. Thank you. All
I
right.
think you say, I'll chime in. Just to piggyback off of what you said, yeah, as far as my wife goes, strength definitely, but even more so than strength is her grace. It's strength and her grace, and how we, you know, everybody deal with challenges and hurdles in life and stuff like that. But she does it so gracefully, without complaints. She finds a way to do it beautifully, and she finds a way to do it where she don't even look like she is moved by the situation, and so she's able to just do it so gracefully, and I respect that. In fact, it rubbed off on me. I was always a person who run at a problem, rah 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 rah, and I had to learn how to step back a little bit and do things more gracefully, and that's a beautiful thing. And some of the hurdles would be communication, and as my brothers mentioned, communication. But in our case, communication where we're talking past each other. Everybody has a point that they want to make, and they're so focused on making their point that now you're communicating past each other. And oftentimes, when you're communicating past each other, you're probably saying the same thing, and you probably want the same end goal,
Yeah.
but you're just not saying it in the same way. And just in time, you have to learn how to speak to each other as opposed to speaking at each other.
Got you.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, everything that both of you have said, but the one thing that I would say is she protects my peace.
Yeah.
Um, and as a man and dealing with the world and everything that the world and life can throw at you,
Yep.
coming home to a toxic environment is just not
Right.
not the way out.
Right.
And so she's very purposeful about maintaining a peaceful home, and I talked about that earlier. Just we don't go there. We don't fly off the handle.
Right.
The we can sit down and talk about it, we'll talk about it another day. So that's the most important thing for me, because that for me and just dating, if I saw any of those traits, that was like a red flag for me. If
Right.
you yelled at me, if you screamed at me, if you called me out my name, all of those were red flags for me. And
Right.
so she purposefully helped me stay in my peaceful place.
Wow.
As far as hurdles, I think it's just the things that I mentioned before. All the things you don't know, we can perfect looking as beautiful and lovely as we want to be during the dating and the courting phase. That's what we do. We put our best selves out there, and it's all the little things that you see afterwards. That was like, wait,
Right.
where did that come from?
Yeah, the real person.
Yeah, exactly. And so that has been a hurdle, just learning all the different things that didn't know existed prior. So
Yeah, you said something defluence too earlier about, picking your battles. And I really like that you said that, because we're all different. I mean, you got friends, you don't like everything about your friend, you don't like everything about your job. Our goal is not to like everything about everybody, right?
Right.
And in a
That's
marriage or in a relationship, even if you're not married, if you're too picky, you'll find yourself way, by yourself, because the fact is, I have a rule. For me, it's always been the rule is 80-20. Does this
Yep.
person have 80% of what I need for a long-term commitment, right? And that other 20%,
Yeah.
I can deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's y'all's thoughts?
Absolutely.
Well, all depends on that 20%. But but I understand what you're talking about. But as I delve into my spirituality, we have to, in our relationship, look at the humanity in the relationship, and look at the human being and the person that you are in a relationship with, and understand that they're a human being, that they're not perfect, nobody's perfect, and that we're all evolving. So as I had mentioned before, the work starts with yourself, working on yourself. Because once you start to give your own self that peace and that grace, then that allows the other person to do the same.
Yeah.
And you just have to understand that everyone's evolved within a relationship. So the person you marry is not the same person that you married to today. Person evolved, good, bad, or indifference, but a person has evolved, and you have to allow that space. I read something that I was going to say for the Valentine's Day, but it took me a long time to understand. This is almost like a Asian proverb, and it said you have to love someone so deeply that they feel free. And it took me a long time to even understand what that was. I was like, oh, what does that mean? But now I understand that very, very, very deeply.
Love someone so deep. Okay. That they feel free.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So let me ask you guys. So what's y'all's plans? Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and we're gonna end this chat. We're like 20 minutes over at 11:30. I hit 90 minutes. Thank you guys for hanging around for so long again. Great humble beginnings. But I will be asking a question about our next episode on Thursday, which is going to be a Valentine's Day theme. So to kind of kick that off and get that started before you guys start heading out and things, Des, let's ask our brother here, since he just jumped on with us for a moment here. What is your plans? You got some plans you willing to share? And how do you keep it interesting for 12 years? How do you keep Valentine's Day interesting? Because by the way, we had a topic just on Thursday about, is Valentine's Day overrated? And I wish you could have joined that conversation. Maybe we should have that conversation another time. But what's your opinion? Is Valentine's Day overrated for you? And if it's not, how do you keep it alive?
Yeah, absolutely. It is overrated for me. And when you asked, what do I have planned, or what do? We don't really celebrate like that. because it's the spontaneousness of throughout the year of doing things
That's right.
that makes
That's
it
right.
special. You know, when you have a certain day where you have to do this and you're expected to do this, it takes out the fun in it. You know, it takes out the joy in it. And so for me, you know, we do stuff sporadically any day of the month. It doesn't have to be a holiday or it doesn't have to be a special occasion. Um, so we just celebrate. Now we'll still do, you know, we might go out to dinner or something, you know, just because, but it's not like a have to type thing for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you find it
We're
hard?
not in that bondage of things that people have put together that has absolutely nothing to do with
Yeah.
real relationships.
And
Correct. Exactly.
Des, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, because I agree wholeheartedly. Um, Same here. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day in a traditional sense that other people do. We do small special things. But when you marry over 20 years, you know, we've been there, done that. You know, we've been there, done that. We could teach lessons on it. But and that's part of the conversation of last week when we talked about, is it overrated? And obviously, when you marry for a long length of time, you may look at it as overrated because you done this, you done that, we done been here, we done been there. But what I will say is, don't lose the connection. And I would say, over the course of our marriage, at some point we did, where Valentine's Day, that don't mean anything. And we downplay it because you can go out anytime. I'll buy you flowers anytime. I'll buy you a gift anytime. But don't downplay the message. Don't downplay the moment. Don't downplay taking the moment to have that special bond between the two of you.
Yeah, I have a plan. You know, I was when I brought up this topic last week. You know what I'm saying? It almost put me to doghouse. You know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to say, it's not that it's overrated to me. It's
Oh,
the
don't change your tone now.
no
Don't change
no.
your tone now. It's too late. You can't do that. You can't do that.
What
Let
I'm
me
He
get
didn't
my
say that
shaker.
last
Let me
week.
get my shaker.
He
You
didn't say
can't
that
do
last week.
it's because again,
that.
every day should be Valentine's Day. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because that's the type of man I. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to. But my thought really around what you're saying is true. It's just the day, right? And when we have everything, I see people out in the mall just looking for materialistic things to find to equate to their hearts, and I know it's not all about that. You know what I'm saying? And so really, it's really, I feel like this Valentine's Day is more special than any, just on the simple fact because, of all the, good work, me and my wife has done, to be at the best place we've ever been. You know what I'm saying, in our life. So it's more special. So I'm gonna tell you what I have planned. Right?
No, don't tell us your plan. Keep it a secret.
She already knows.
Oh, she already knows.
Yeah,
Okay.
she
All
already
right, go
knows.
ahead. Go
My,
ahead, share it.
you know, my plan is to watch. My plan is to have some wine. First, we go to dinner. Right? I
Uh-oh.
take her to her nice special place that she likes
Uh-oh.
to get this nice snapper fish.
Yep.
We come back home, and then I put on something sexy. You know what I'm saying? I put on something sexy, and then we watch Love Jones. You feel me? We watch Love Jones because we ain't seen that in like 30 years, so we can't even remember what it is. But it's a
Nice.
classic.
Yep.
It's a classic, right?
Without a doubt.
Right? And then we just had some good food, and you know what happens next. But that's is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
You like that?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. We just put together actually I just posted it a couple of days ago, but we put together a couples affirmation ebook
Nice.
that we put together.
Nice. I want to get a copy of that. So
It's
let me know
just,
what that information is.
so it's like 14 different affirmations that we can speak to ourselves and stuff. So we'll probably do that on Valentine's Day as well. So
Nice.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Don't forget to make the connection. There's a connection that one needs. And when to make that connection, you have to talk and communicate and interconnect and listen to one another.
Yeah.
So you can do many things. We could take them out. We could spend money and stuff like that. But the key is the connection. The connection. And the connection is not always physical. It's also spiritual.
Right.
So, you guys, I want to thank you for your time. It's almost at 11:30. Just to let you know what's planned for next Thursday, since none of you women in the chat told us what you want to talk, what you'd like our show to talk about next week. I mean, this Thursday. My thought was, we're going to put you guys to a test with a little game. Want to know what that game is? What do you know about men? You know the movie. What's the movie when a woman becomes a man and she gets to experience how it is to be a man, what a man wants, right? Yeah. We're going to have a set of questions, what a man wants, and we like to have some special women guests to come up and see how well they do answer these questions that we have, a series of questions. So you're all invited. Hey, D, if you're around, he's got the same. So I'm D, so we got to call him D Influence, all right? If you're around, you're welcome to come on as well. But we're going to be quizzing you on questions around what do you think you know about men and what they want, all right? And then Friday is Valentine's Day, so it's your whole day, right? We know that, right? It's all about you. I'm going to let this D Influence before we leave, and then Dennis, you're going to end this conversation. Can you let us know about you? Do you go live so other people know on the platform, where they can find you?
Yeah, I haven't been live in a while. I've had a phone situation where I got a new phone and my TikTok didn't transfer over to my new phone. So I'm trying
they locked you out? They sound like they locked you out.
I don't know what happened, but the whole app didn't show up. So I'm trying to do things through an old phone or through an iPad, and it's just a little difficult. So because my lives are usually a sunrise or a sunset. But I don't have anything to take out there right now, so I'm still working my way through. But yeah, you can catch me, on my posts and stuff like that. But yeah, no lives for right now.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I was going to jump on, but our call went so long. I was like, okay, let me see if they're still on. I'll jump on for a minute. So I'm glad you guys were still here.
I appreciate it. Don't forget to follow him, you guys. And Des.
Yeah, so I was want to leave everybody with something positive. Two things. One is embrace the change. Don't be afraid of the change. Embrace the change. Know that there's a higher power that governs it all. And no one situation, no technology is going to make and break your life. Embrace the change. And two, in relationships, connect. Be open to connect with the person. See the person for who they are. Right. That's my little spiel for today.
Thank you. So we want to thank you guys for all coming on. Well, if you just got here late or something, and this podcast actually goes out to YouTube as a stream as well, so you can see the full version. And again, we're on Mondays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern with content consistently. Come join the show. Hit the heart me. Hit the bell so you'll know when we go live. And have a nice night. Play that
jazz.
Thank
you, guys.
Play Love that jazz on the way out, brother.
Love and peace. Let me turn that up for y'all.
All right. Thanks a lot, D Influence. Thank you for popping in. Unexpected.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, great night. Thank you, Tia, for joining. Thank you, Good Girl, for joining. Thank you, I Am Licia, for joining as well. Thank you. I'm inspired as well for your support tonight. And make sure you come next Thursday, just in case we need to bring you up, because we're going to need some women on the panel. Okay?
I don't know how to disconnect.
All right, I'll disconnect you, my friend.
All right, appreciate it.
1 second here. Actually, you can go ahead and disconnect yourself because it looks like it's not allowing me.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. Where
at the top, at the very top, you see a power button, power sign. Top of the screen.
Yep.
on the
Okay,
right hand side.
All right, got it.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, Des, great show, man. I think it was really good dialogue.
Nice.
Build it up, right? Right. So we know what the next show is all about. I'll let you get to it tonight. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.
Peace, brother. I love you.